He ran the whole Mafia empire with an iron fist. No betrayal slipped through. No enemy kept breathing. But when the judge's daughter showed up at his office, holding a blood-stained dossier, and nothing was under control anymore. "You know what you're holding, right?" he asked without blinking. She didn't answer. Just opened the envelope. Right then and there, he understood that the secret that kept him alive for years was also the one that could take him down. He was the invisible king of the city, the man who swore he'd never fall in love. And what he hated the most was exactly what she stood for: truth, law, and the kind of love that kills. If you've ever loved someone you couldn't have, you know exactly what he felt in that moment. If this story's got you hooked, hit that like and subscribe right now. 'Cause sometimes you don't choose to love. Love chooses you. Who the Mafia boss really is. He grew up in alleys and funerals. Lost his mom at 12, his brother at 17, and it was with bullets that he earned respect. He was cold. Calculated. The only man capable of turning fear into gold, and blood into power. His name was Vincent Moretti, but nobody called him that anymore. On the streets, he was just V, and that single letter carried more weight than any badge, any warrant, any judge's gavel. People didn't cross V. They didn't even think about it, because thinking was the first step toward dying. He didn't build his empire overnight. Nah, it took years of moving in silence, playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. He learned early that loyalty wasn't bought with money, it was bought with fear and respect, mixed in equal parts. You give a man a reason to live and a reason to die, and he'll follow you to the end of the earth. His operation was flawless. Like clockwork. Cops on payroll, politicians keeping their mouths shut, judges looking the other way when his name came up. He wasn't just some thug with a gun, he was the shadow government. The real law. The one that people obeyed when the sun went down and the badges came off. V had a penthouse in downtown LA, overlooking the city like a king surveying his kingdom. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Marble floors. Art that cost more than most people made in a lifetime. But he didn't care about any of it. It was just a reminder. A reminder that he came from nothing and built everything. He had 3 rules he lived by, rules that kept him alive when everyone around him was dropping like flies. 1. Never trust anyone completely. Not your right hand, not your blood, not even yourself when you're feeling soft. 2. Never let emotions cloud business. The moment you start feeling, you start slipping. And slipping gets you killed. 3. Never ever fall in love. Love was a weakness. A crack in the armor. And in his world, one crack was all it took for someone to slide a blade right through. For 15 years, those rules kept him untouchable. 15 years without a single slip. Without a single mistake. Until her. Who the judge's daughter really is. Her name was Elena Navarro, and she was everything he wasn't. She grew up between marble columns and stained glass, listening to speeches about justice and righteousness. Her father, Judge Navarro, was a legend in the California court system. The guy who sent more criminals away than anyone in state history. The guy who stood for everything that was supposed to be good and right. Elena went to private schools, summer camps in Malibu, college at Stanford. She had that whole golden girl vibe, smart, beautiful, untouchable. The kind of girl who believed the system worked, that good people won, that justice always prevailed. But she wasn't naive. Not anymore. She studied law just like her old man wanted. Became a prosecutor. Started putting bad guys away one case at a time. And she was damn good at it. Sharp as a knife, relentless in the courtroom. She didn't just argue cases, she destroyed them. Witnesses crumbled. Defense attorneys stuttered. Juries ate out of her hand. But there was something that always gnawed at her. Something that didn't sit right. Her father was too clean. Too perfect. In a city drowning in corruption, where every other official had their hand in someone's pocket, Judge Navarro stood untouched. Like he was made of Teflon. And that didn't make sense. So she started digging. Quietly. Carefully. Not because she wanted to find dirt on her own father, but because something deep in her gut told her the truth was darker than anyone knew. And she was right. It started with a case she was prosecuting, a mid-level drug dealer who swore up and down that he had connections, that he was protected, that someone high up was keeping him safe. She didn't believe him at first. They all said that. But then his lawyer dropped a name during a closed-door meeting. A name that made her blood run cold. Judge Navarro. She told herself it was a lie. A desperate attempt to muddy the waters. But then she found the bank records. Offshore accounts. Shell companies. Transfers that traced back to properties her father owned under different names. And then, the dossier. A blood-stained manila folder left on her car one night after work. No note. No explanation. Just documents. Photos. Audio recordings. Everything she needed to connect the dots. Her father wasn't just a judge. He was the bridge. The man who made sure the empire stayed standing. He laundered money, buried evidence, threw cases when he needed to. And the man he did it all for? Vincent Moretti. Why they can't love each other. He was the shadow that bought silence. She was the light that could destroy empires. He lived off the lie that protects. She lived off the truth that kills. And any touch started a war. But it wasn't just about their worlds colliding. It was deeper than that. More dangerous. Because the moment V laid eyes on Elena Navarro, everything he believed in, every rule, every wall, every defense started crumbling. And she felt it too. That pull. That fire. The kind you can't ignore no matter how hard you try. They met at a charity gala of all places. Some black tie event for a children's hospital. V was there because his accountant said it was good for appearances. Elena was there because her father dragged her along. Their eyes met across the room and it was like the whole place went silent. No music. No chatter. Just her. Just him. He walked over, smooth as hell, that signature smirk on his face. You look like you'd rather be anywhere but here. She raised an eyebrow. And you look like you're used to getting what you want. Always. Must be nice. It is. He leaned in just a little. But I'm guessing you don't give a damn about nice. She smiled. Dangerous. Beautiful. You guessed right. They talked for hours. Danced once. He made her laugh, something she hadn't done in months. She made him feel something he thought he'd buried years ago. And when the night ended, she kissed him. Right there in the parking lot, under the flickering streetlights, like the world wasn't watching. But the world was always watching. And the second that kiss happened, the clock started ticking. Because Elena didn't just fall for a man. She fell for the enemy. The monster. The one her father had been protecting all along. And V didn't just break his own rule. He shattered it. He let her in. The audience understands now, this love doesn't just hurt, it rips apart everything that exists. He broke the golden rule. He let her into his world. First a meeting, then a kiss, then the surrender. But before he could control her, she realized the secret that could bring him down. The judge, her own father, was laundering money for the Mafia. She didn't need to threaten. She just showed the proof. It happened 3 weeks after that first kiss. 3 weeks of sneaking around, late-night drives up the coast, stolen moments in his penthouse when the city was asleep. 3 weeks of pretending like the rest of the world didn't exist. V knew better. He knew this was dangerous, reckless, stupid even, but for the first time in his life he didn't care. Elena made him feel human again. Like maybe, just maybe, there was more to life than blood and power and fear. He showed her things he'd never shown anyone. The old neighborhood where he grew up. The cemetery where his mom was buried. The scar on his ribs from the night he almost died at 19. He let his guard down, piece by piece, brick by brick. And she fell harder than she ever thought possible. This wasn't supposed to happen. She was supposed to hate men like him. She prosecuted men like him. But Vincent wasn't just some monster from a case file. He was complicated. Broken. Real. She told herself she could handle it. That she could separate the man from the empire. That love didn't mean betrayal. But then she found the second dossier. It was tucked inside her father's home office, behind a row of law books that nobody ever touched. She wasn't snooping, not intentionally. She was looking for an old photo album her mom had asked about. But when she pulled the wrong book, a folder slipped out and hit the floor. Inside were transaction records. Dates. Amounts. Names. Her father's signature. Over and over and over. And at the top of every page, Moretti Enterprises. Her hands shook as she flipped through it. Account numbers in the Caymans. Real estate purchases under shell companies. Payments labeled as consulting fees that were anything but. Her father wasn't just protecting the Mafia. He was part of it. He was the reason Vincent's empire stayed untouchable. The reason cases disappeared. The reason witnesses went silent. Judge Navarro wasn't a hero. He was the bridge between two worlds, and he'd been crossing it for over a decade. Elena felt like she was gonna throw up. Everything she believed in, everything she stood for, was a lie. Her whole life had been built on a foundation of blood money and corruption. And the man she loved? He was at the center of it all. She didn't confront her father. Not yet. She needed to think. She needed to figure out what the hell to do with this information. Because if she went to the authorities, her father would go down. If she stayed silent, she became complicit. And if she told Vincent, that's when things got complicated. She showed up at his penthouse that night, unannounced. He was in the middle of a meeting with his underboss, a guy named Sal who'd been with him since day one. The second V saw her face, he knew something was wrong. "Get out," he told Sal. No hesitation. No explanation. Sal looked between them, then left without a word. Elena stood there in the middle of the living room, clutching a manila envelope like it was a bomb. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. "What happened?" V asked, stepping closer. She didn't answer. Just opened the envelope and spread the documents across his glass coffee table. He looked down. Scanned the pages. His jaw tightened. "Where did you get this?" "My father's office." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. "You knew," she whispered. "You knew he was dirty." "Elena. Don't." Her voice cracked. "Don't you dare lie to me right now." V ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. "Yeah. I knew." "For how long?" "From the beginning." She laughed bitterly, tears streaming down her face. Of course you did." "God, I'm so stupid." "You're not stupid," he said firmly, grabbing her by the shoulders. "Listen to me. Your father came to me. Not the other way around. He needed money, I needed protection. It was business." "Business?" She shoved him back. "My whole life is a lie because of your business. I didn't make him do anything he didn't want to do, Elena. He chose this. Just like I did." She stared at him, and for the first time she saw him clearly. Not the man who made her laugh. Not the man who held her like she was the only thing that mattered. She saw Vincent Moretti. The mobster. The killer. The man who built an empire on broken backs and buried bodies. "I can't do this," she whispered. "Yes, you can." "No, V. I can't. Because if I stay with you, I'm just like him. Just like my father. I become part of the lie." "Then don't stay for me," he said, his voice low and desperate. "Stay because you love me. Stay because we're good together. Stay because you know deep down that you and me, we're the only real thing in this whole goddamn city." She wanted to. God, she wanted to so bad it hurt. But before she could respond, his phone buzzed. Once. Twice. 3 times. He glanced at it. His face went cold. "What?" Elena asked. "Something's wrong." The Mafia had started noticing. Weird things. Small things. Busts that shouldn't have happened. Shipments that got intercepted. Informants that suddenly went quiet. It was like someone had flipped a switch and now the cops actually gave a damn. V's crew was getting paranoid. Sal had already pulled him aside twice, asking if there was a rat. Someone else suggested they had a leak in the police department. But V knew better. He knew exactly when things started going sideways. Right around the time Elena walked into his life. He didn't think she'd do it. He didn't think she'd betray him. But the timing was too perfect. Too convenient. And now, looking at her standing in his penthouse, holding evidence that could destroy him, he realized something that made his blood run cold. She had all the power. "It's not me," she said, reading his face. "V, I swear to God it's not me." "Then who?" "I don't know. But someone knows I have this." She gestured at the documents. "Someone's been following me. Watching me. I think..." She stopped, her voice shaking. "I think they know about us." V's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Sal. "We got a problem. Meet me at the warehouse." "No." He looked at Elena. "You need to go home. Lock your doors. Don't talk to anyone." "What's happening?" "I don't know yet. But if someone's making moves, they're gonna come for both of us." She grabbed his arm. "Vincent. I'll handle it." He kissed her forehead hard and fast. "Just trust me. Please." But trust was a luxury neither of them could afford anymore. When she said, "It's not you who controls the empire, it's your secret," he realized he'd never have peace again. "Now tell me, if you discovered something capable of bringing down your enemy's empire, but also destroying the person you love, would you use that weapon?" "I want to know." She had access to the files. Videos. Audio recordings. Testimonies. Name by name. Account by account. He pulled the gun from the drawer but didn't point it at her. He pointed it at himself. "You don't know what happens when this empire falls." She looked him in the eyes and didn't flinch. "I know. I saw what you did to keep it standing." Outside, 3 black cars pulled up. Tinted windows. Silent radios. The Mafia didn't come to ask questions. They came to fix problems. The warehouse was on the east side near the docks. The kind of place where things happened and nobody asked questions. V pulled up in his blacked-out Escalade, Sal already waiting by the entrance, smoking a cigarette like the world wasn't burning down around them. "Talk to me," V said, slamming the car door. Sal flicked the cigarette away. We got hit. 3 of our spots. Same night. Cops knew exactly where to go, exactly what to look for. They didn't just stumble onto us, V. Someone fed them everything. V's jaw clenched. How bad? Bad. They got product, cash ledgers. We're talking millions in losses. And that's just the money. Half our guys are in lockup right now, and the ones who aren't? They're spooked. Word spreading that we got a rat. Who's talking? Everyone. Marco thinks it's the new kid we brought in last month. Benny thinks it's someone on the inside, maybe even one of the cops we pay. And Tony? Sal paused. Tony thinks it's the girl. V's blood went cold. What? The judge's daughter. Tony says she's been seen around the courthouse talking to prosecutors. Says it's too much of a coincidence that everything went south right after you started seeing her. Tony doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Maybe. But he's not the only one thinking it, V. The crew's getting restless. They want answers. And if you can't give them answers, they're gonna start making their own. V felt the weight of it all pressing down on him. For 15 years he'd kept this empire running smooth. No hiccups. No drama. And now everything was crumbling because he broke his own damn rule. He let himself feel something. Set up a meeting, V said. All the captains. Tonight. I'll handle it. Sal nodded. And the girl? She's not the problem. You sure about that? V didn't answer. Because the truth was he wasn't sure about anything anymore. Back at the penthouse, Elena couldn't stop shaking. She'd gone home like V told her to, but she couldn't stay there. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every car that drove by felt like it was watching her. So she went back to his place. Used the key he'd given her 2 weeks ago, the one she said she'd never use because it felt too real, too permanent. But now it was the only place that felt safe. She poured herself a drink, whiskey neat the way he always had it, and sat on the couch staring at the city lights below. Her mind was racing. Someone new. Someone had been following her. And now people were getting arrested, shipments were getting seized, and it was only a matter of time before they connected the dots back to her. She thought about running. Just disappearing. Changing her name, moving to another state, starting over. But then she thought about him. About Vincent. About the way he looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. And she knew she couldn't leave. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You have something that doesn't belong to you. Give it back or people you love start dying. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She dropped the phone like it burned her. Before she could process it, the penthouse door opened. V walked in, his face dark, his eyes hard. You shouldn't be here, he said. I couldn't stay at my place. She held up her phone. Someone just threatened me. He took the phone, read the message, and his expression went from hard to lethal. Pack a bag. You're leaving town. What? No. V, I'm not running. This isn't a discussion, Elena. These people don't play around. If they think you're a threat, they'll kill you. And they won't make it quick. Then we go to the cops. The cops. He laughed bitterly. Half of them are on my payroll, and the other half wouldn't believe you even if you had a signed confession. You think your father's the only dirty judge in this city? You think I built this empire by accident? She felt tears stinging her eyes. So what then? I just disappear? I just let them win? You stay alive. That's what you do. And you? What about you? He cupped her face, his thumb brushing away a tear. I'll do what I always do. I'll survive. That's not good enough. It's all I got, sweetheart. Before she could argue, his phone rang. So, yeah. V answered. We got a situation. Someone just tried to hit Marco's place. He's alive but barely. And V, they left a message. What kind of message? The kind written in blood. Says, the girl or the empire. Choose. V's hand tightened around the phone. I'm on my way. He hung up and looked at Elena. I need you to stay here. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone but me. Vincent. Please. His voice cracked just a little. Just enough for her to see how scared he really was. Please just do what I say. Just this once. She nodded, even though every part of her wanted to fight. Wanted to scream. Wanted to fix this mess they'd both created. He kissed her. Hard. Desperate. Like it might be the last time. And then he was gone. The meeting happened in a gutted building on the outskirts of the city. All 5 captains were there. Sal, Marco, Tony, Benny, and a guy named Vic who ran the drug operations. They stood in a circle, tension thick enough to cut with a knife. This is getting out of hand, Tony said. We're bleeding money, we're losing soldiers, and for what? Because the boss caught feelings for some girl? Watch your mouth, V said, his voice low and dangerous. Or what? You gonna shoot me? Go ahead. At least then I won't have to watch this whole thing collapse. Benny stepped forward. Tony, chill out. No. I'm done chilling out. We all are. We need to know, V. Is she the leak or not? She's not. Then prove it, Marco said, wincing from the bullet wound in his shoulder. Because right now all the evidence points to her. And if she's not the problem, then who the hell is? V looked around the room. At the faces of men he'd known for years. Men he'd bled with, killed with, built an empire with. And in that moment he realized something that made his chest tighten. He didn't know who to trust anymore. I'll find out who's behind this, V said. And when I do I'll handle it. But nobody touches Elena. That's not up for debate. Then you better figure it out fast, Tony said. Because this crew? We're not going down for some piece of... V had him by the throat before he could finish the sentence. Slammed him against the wall so hard the plaster cracked. Say it, V hissed. Finish that sentence. I dare you. Tony choked, clawing at V's hand. The other captains watched in silence. After a long moment, V let him go. Tony collapsed, gasping for air. We clear? V asked, looking at each of them. They nodded. All except Sal, who just stared at him with something that looked like pity. V left the building and drove back to the penthouse, his mind racing. He needed a plan. He needed answers. He needed... His phone buzzed. Another unknown number. But this time it wasn't a text. It was a photo. Elena, tied to a chair. Blood trickling from her lip. And standing behind her, gun pressed to her temple, was someone V never thought he'd see again. Judge Navarro. The message that followed made his blood turn to ice. You took something from me. Now I'm taking something from you. Come alone or she dies. V's hands shook. His vision blurred. For the first time in 15 years, Vincent Moretti felt true, paralyzing fear. Because he finally understood. The Empire wasn't the target. She was. And the man who wanted her dead was the same man who'd helped him build everything. He killed the lights and pulled her behind the desk. But before he could open the secret exit, the door was kicked in. They weren't cops. They weren't his crew. It was the only man he swore he'd kill if he ever came back. Her father. And when the judge lifted the briefcase, he understood that she was never the victim. What she discovered was just the first stone. V's mind was racing as he sped through the city streets, running every red light, weaving through traffic like a man possessed. The address Judge Navarro sent him was an old federal building on the edge of downtown. Abandoned for years, scheduled for demolition. The perfect place for something like this. He didn't call Sal. Didn't call anyone. This wasn't a crew situation. This was personal. When he pulled up, the building was dark. No cars outside. No signs of life. Just shadows and broken windows. V grabbed his gun, checked the clip, and stepped out into the night. The front door was already open. He moved inside, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Dust and debris everywhere. Graffiti on the walls. The smell of mold and decay. Navarro, he called out. His voice bounced off the walls. I'm here. Let her go. Silence. Then from somewhere above, a voice. Third floor. Come alone, or I'll paint the walls with her brain. V took the stairs two at a time, his heart hammering in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him that this was a trap. That he was walking into something he couldn't walk out of. But he didn't care. Not anymore. When he reached the third floor, he found them in what used to be a conference room. Elena was tied to a chair in the center, duct tape over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Judge Navarro stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder, the other holding a chrome-plated .45 against her temple. Put the gun down, Vincent, Navarro said calmly. V aimed his weapon at the judge. You first. Not how this works. You put yours down or I blow her head off right now. Your choice. V's finger twitched on the trigger. He could take the shot. He was fast enough. Accurate enough. But if he missed, even by an inch, Elena was dead. Slowly he lowered the gun and set it on the floor. Kick it over here. He did. Navarro smiled. Good boy. See Elena? I told you he'd come. Love makes men stupid. Let her go, V said through gritted teeth. This is between you and me. Oh, but that's where you're wrong. Navarro pulled the tape off Elena's mouth. She gasped for air, coughing. This has always been about all three of us. Hasn't it, sweetheart? Elena looked up at her father, confusion and terror in her eyes. Dad, what are you? Shut up. He pressed the gun harder against her skull. You had one job. One. Get close to him. Find out who he's working with. Get me names, locations, everything. And what do? You fall for him. You actually fall for the guy you were supposed to destroy. V felt like he'd been punched in the gut. What? Elena's eyes went wide. No, that's not, Dad, that's not what happened. Isn't it? Navarro laughed. Come on, Vincent. You really think it was a coincidence she showed up at that gala? That she just happened to kiss you in the parking lot? That she just happened to find those files in my office? V stared at Elena. Her face was pale, tears pouring down her cheeks. Tell him, Navarro commanded. Tell him the truth. I didn't, her voice broke. Vincent, I swear, I didn't know what he was planning. He told me you were dangerous, that you killed people. He said if I could get close to you, if I could find evidence, we could bring down the whole organization and you believed him? V's voice was hollow. At first, yeah, I believed him. But then I got to know you, the real you, and I realized he was lying about everything. About you, about himself, about all of it. She's playing you, Navarro said, his voice dripping with venom. Just like she's been playing you this whole time. You think she loves you? She's a Navarro. We don't love. We use. That's not true. Elena screamed. Vincent, please, you have to believe me. Enough. Navarro pulled a briefcase from behind the chair and tossed it onto the floor between them. It landed with a heavy thud. Open it. V didn't move. Open it. Slowly, V crouched down and flipped the latches. The briefcase popped open. Inside were files. Dozens of them. Photos. Bank statements. Recorded conversations. And right on top, a USB drive labeled Moretti. Full operation. That's everything, Navarro said. Every deal you ever made. Every cop you ever bought. Every body you ever buried. 15 years of dirt, compiled and ready to go. And you know what the best part is? Half of it came from her. V looked at Elena. She was sobbing now, shaking her head. I didn't give him everything, she choked out. I gave him some things at first before I knew you, but I stopped. I swear to God, Vincent, I stopped. I tried to protect you. By lying to me? His voice was ice. By pretending to love me? I wasn't pretending. I love you. I love you so much it's killing me. Touching? Navarro interrupted. Really? But here's the thing, Vincent. I don't need her anymore. I've got everything I need to bury you 10 times over. The feds are already circling. Your crew's falling apart. And in about 48 hours, you're going to be the most wanted man in California. V's fists clenched. So why am I here? Why not just turn me in? Because I want to give you a choice. Navarro's smile widened. You disappear. Tonight. Leave the city. Leave the state. Hell, leave the country. Give up the empire, walk away from it all, and I'll make sure Elena stays safe. She lives. You live. Everyone wins. And if I don't? Then I kill her right now. And when the cops show up, I'll tell them you did it. That you found out she was working with me, that you snapped, that I tried to stop you but I was too late. I'm a judge, Vincent. A decorated, beloved judge. They'll believe me. And you? You'll spend the rest of your life in a cell. If you even make it to trial. V felt the walls closing in. Every possible move, every angle, every play, blocked. He looked at Elena. At the woman he'd broken every rule for. The woman who'd shattered his world and put it back together in the same breath. Vincent, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He wanted to hate her. Wanted to believe she was just like her father, cold, calculating, ruthless. But when he looked into her eyes, all he saw was the truth. She loved him. She really did. And that made it so much worse. Clock's ticking, Navarro said. What's it gonna be? He took a breath. Then another. And then he did something neither of them expected. He smiled. You know what your problem is, Judge? V said, his voice calm. You talk too much. Navarro frowned. Excuse me? All this time you thought you were playing me. Thought you had all the cards. But you forgot one thing. And what's that? I didn't come here alone. Navarro's face went pale. You're bluffing. Am I? The sound of footsteps echoed through the building. Multiple sets. Heavy. Deliberate. Navarro spun around, gun still pressed to Elena's head, just as Sal and 4 other guys appeared in the doorway, weapons drawn. Nobody move. Navarro shouted. But V was already moving. He lunged forward, grabbing the judge's wrist and twisting hard. The gun went off, loud, deafening, but the bullet hit the ceiling. Elena screamed. V slammed Navarro against the wall, the gun clattering to the floor. Sal kicked it away. You good boss? Sal asked. Yeah. V kept Navarro pinned. Get her out of here. One of the guys cut Elena's restraints. She stumbled forward, barely able to stand, and V caught her with one arm. Vincent. Not now, he said quietly. Navarro laughed, blood trickling from his nose. You think this changes anything? You think you've won? Those files are already copied. Already out there. You're finished, Moretti. You're... V punched him. What? Hard enough to shut him up. Then he turned to Sal. Take him to the warehouse. Make sure he doesn't talk to anyone. What about the files? V looked at the briefcase. Then at Elena. Burn them, he said. V, wait. Elena grabbed his arm. If you destroy those files, you're destroying the only evidence against my father. He'll walk. He'll... I know. Then why? Because I love you. He cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. And I'm not letting him use you as a weapon anymore. Tears spilled over. But your empire is already gone. You heard him. The feds are coming. It's only a matter of time. He kissed her forehead. But you still have a chance. You can still walk away from this. From me. From all of it. I don't want to walk away. Elena. I don't. She grabbed his shirt, pulling him close. I don't care about the empire. I don't care about the files. I care about you. And I'm not losing you. Not like this. V stared at her. At this impossible, beautiful, infuriating woman who turned his entire world upside down. And for the first time in 15 years, Vincent Moretti didn't have a plan. Sal cleared his throat. Boss, we gotta move. Cops could be here any minute. V nodded. Get the judge out of here. I'll meet you back at... The sound of car doors slamming outside made everyone freeze. Voices. Radios crackling. LAPD. Building is surrounded. Come out with your hands up. V and Sal exchanged a look. Back exit, Sal said. They moved fast, dragging Navarro with them, Elena close behind. Down the stairs, through a side hallway toward a service door that led to an alley. But when they burst through, they stopped dead. 3 black SUVs. Engines running. Headlights blinding. And standing in front of them, flanked by a dozen armed men in tactical gear, was someone V never thought he'd see again. His brother. The brother who died at 17. Except he wasn't dead. Hey V, Marco said grinning. Miss me? V's world tilted. You're supposed to be... dead? Yeah, I know. Funny how that worked out. Marco stepped forward. See, while you were busy building your little empire, I was building mine. Real one. Federal one. And now... He pulled out a badge. I'm here to tear yours down. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Oh my God. Marco looked at her. Then at Navarro, bloodied and barely conscious. Then back at V. You've got 2 choices, big brother. Come quietly. Or don't. Either way, this ends tonight. V felt Elena's hand slip into his. Felt the weight of 15 years crashing down. Felt everything he'd built, everything he'd fought for, slipping through his fingers like sand. And as the sirens closed in, as the lights flashed red and blue against the night sky, Vincent Moretti realized something that made his blood run cold. He never controlled the empire. The empire controlled him. And now it was time to pay.